Hello, friends. Today we uncover a story that exposes the dark undercurrents of seemingly innocent friendships. Meet Alex and Jordan, two friends whose laughter masks a chilling truth. Beneath their jovial facade lies an unsettling tension, hinting at secrets too dangerous to voice. Watch closely. The late afternoon sun filtered through the trees, casting playful shadows on the park bench where Alex and Jordan sat. Laughter bubbled up between them, a melody of shared memories and inside jokes that formed the fabric of their friendship. The air was thick with the scent of freshly cut grass and blooming flowers, a perfect backdrop to the warmth that enveloped them. Remember that time we tried to bake cookies and ended up with a kitchen disaster? Jordan grinned, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Alex laughed, the sound light and free. How could I forget? You thought you could outsmart the oven. They both collapsed into laughter, their shoulders bumping together, an unspoken pact of trust binding them tight. But even in this moment of joy, a whisper of doubt stirred in the back of Alex's mind, faint and unsettling. It was a feeling he couldn't quite place, an inkling that something remained unspoken between them, like a shadow lurking just beyond the reach of sunlight. Yet, the warmth of Jordan's presence soothed him, wrapping him in a cocoon of familiarity. Hey, have you noticed how weird things have been with the group lately? Alex ventured, the lightness in his chest suddenly feeling heavier. Like, I don't know, it feels like some people are acting off. Jordan's smile faltered for a split second, then swiftly returned, the mask of joviality securely in place. You're just being paranoid, Alex. You know how people can be. Let's not ruin a good day with worries. The tension began to coil tight within Alex, an internal conflict swirling beneath the surface of their laughter. He wanted to believe Jordan, to cling to the reassuring facade of their friendship. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it tugged at his heart. Right, yeah, Alex replied, forcing a smile that felt brittle. He looked down at his hands, fidgeting with a ring on his finger, its cool metal grounding him in this moment. Sometimes I feel like we're not all on the same page. Like what? Jordan prodded, his tone light, but his gaze piercing, as if he sensed the undercurrents of Alex's thoughts. A flurry of emotions skittered through Alex, fear, confusion, and a nagging instinct to dig deeper. But he held back, swallowing the words that threatened to spill. Could he truly voice the swirling uncertainties? Or would it shatter the illusion of their perfect bond? The sun dipped slightly, the shadows around them lengthening, and Alex caught a glimpse of his reflection in the glassy surface of Jordan's phone, resting carelessly on the bench. The image flickered, revealing not just his face, but the faint outline of a mask, a representation of the deception that hung invisibly between them. The question lingered in the air, heavy and unaddressed. Can true closeness exist without doubts? For now, Alex pushed the thought aside, letting the warmth of their camaraderie wash over him once more. But somewhere deep inside, a flicker of awareness ignited, refusing to be smothered. It was a whisper of truth, waiting for the right moment to break through the surface of their laughter. Alex sat cross-legged on the worn-out rug of their shared apartment, the golden afternoon light filtering through the window, casting long shadows across the room. Laughter echoed from the kitchen, where Jordan was preparing what he called a surprise dinner, a phrase that usually promised something extravagant. But today, as the familiar sounds of pots clanking and water boiling filled the air, an unsettling feeling curled in Alex's stomach, an unwelcome guest. It started with the little things. Jordan had a way of weaving stories that felt compelling, yet fragments of his latest tale, a supposed chance encounter with a mutual friend, felt oddly disjointed. Alex recalled their previous conversations, where the details were vivid, colorful, almost theatrical. But now they seemed to drift like clouds, vague and incomplete. "Didn't you say you bumped into Anna at the cafe last week?" Alex had asked casually, trying to gauge Jordan's reaction. "Oh, right. Well, it was more like she waved from across the street," Jordan had replied, a spark of nervousness flickering across his face, quickly masked by his trademark grin. The mask, a symbol of Jordan's charm, felt heavy and oppressive as Alex observed him. Each smile, each laugh, felt like a carefully crafted illusion. The tension hung in the air, thick enough to cut, as the sound of chopping vegetables punctuated the silence. Alex's heart raced, caught between the comfort of their years-long friendship and the gnawing suspicion that had begun to claw at the edges of their bond. "Hey, do you remember that night we all went to the beach?" Alex ventured, trying to pull the veil away just a little further. "You had that ridiculous sunburn and kept complaining about it for weeks." Jordan's laughter echoed, but there was a fleeting hesitation in his eyes. "Yeah, I barely made it back without turning into a lobster." But there it was again, an odd slippage in memory. Hadn't he sworn that Maya had been the one to forget sunscreen that night? Or was it Alex who had spent too long on the water? The details danced like fireflies in the fading light, elusive and frustratingly out of reach. As the moment stretched, Alex felt the warmth of their usual camaraderie begin to chill. The joy they'd shared felt distant, overshadowed by an unsettling realization. Was it possible that the very foundation of their friendship was built on a web of half-truths? Could trust exist if the smallest details began to erode under scrutiny? Jordan called from the kitchen, breaking Alex's reverie. "Dinner's ready. You're going to love it." His voice was bright, but Alex could sense an underlying pressure, an urgency that seemed to rise with the steam from the pots. A nervousness flickered at the back of Alex's mind, a warning sign that maybe, just maybe, something was amiss. With each moment that passed, the laughter began to feel hollow, like a song with a missing note. Alex's stomach churned, a stark reminder of the growing distance between them. The easy flow of conversation felt constricted, each sentence weighed down by unasked questions. How could he confront Jordan without shattering the delicate illusion they had crafted together? As the sun dipped lower, casting a long shadow over the dining table, Alex found himself staring at the mask of familiarity that Jordan wore. The contrast between the vibrant surface and the dark undercurrents began to blur, leaving Alex questioning everything. Could trust withstand the strain of doubt? Or was it merely a fragile facade, waiting to crack under the weight of buried truths? The questions lingered, unanswerable, as Alex braced for the dinner ahead, knowing that beneath the surface of their friendship, a storm was brewing. The cafe buzzed with the familiar hum of conversation, the clatter of cups and soft jazz playing in the background. Alex sat across from Jordan, their laughter mingling with the scent of freshly brewed coffee. Yet, beneath the warmth of their playful banter, a chill crept through Alex's heart, like a shadow slipping into daylight. Jordan, ever the charmer, leaned forward, his smile dazzling. But the gleam in his eyes felt off, like a well-rehearsed performance. "You're overthinking it, Alex. Just enjoy the moment," he said, his voice dripping with casual confidence that momentarily soothed her anxious mind. But as she forced a smile, the unease twisted in her gut, tightening like a noose. It was in small things, The way Jordan's laughter sometimes felt rehearsed. The way he deftly changed subjects when she probed too deep. Or the fleeting moments when his eyes flickered away, revealing a glint of something unspoken. Each time, a whisper of doubt nipped at the edges of her trust. Was it all a facade? As she stirred her coffee, watching the cream swirl in chaotic patterns, she felt the weight of her own silence pressing against her. The world outside streamed by, people laughing and connecting, oblivious to the invisible cracks forming within her. She longed for the certainty of trust, the unwavering belief that friends were allies. Yet here she was, wrestling with an unsettling truth she dared not voice. Alex? Earth to Alex! Jordan waved a hand in front of her, breaking her reverie. You're not zoning out on me, are you? His smile was bright, yet it felt like a mask worn too tightly, one that might shatter at any moment. She caught her reflection in the glossy surface of her phone. A girl hiding behind a smile, a facade that felt like a mask, too. I'm here, sorry, she replied, forcing her voice to remain light, though her heart raced. Could she ignore the growing anxiety for the sake of maintaining this fragile harmony? What if questioning his sincerity led to conflict, to an unraveling of everything they had built? Jordan resumed his animated story, but the words blurred together, a distant murmur overshadowed by her inner turmoil. Each chuckle felt like a fragile thread stretching to its limit. She was caught in a suffocating loop of doubt and the unyielding desire for connection. Could she risk exposing her fears when the stakes felt so high? A flash of Maya's support flickered in her mind, the quiet strength in her friend's gaze urging her to confront her feelings. But even the thought of following that path felt daunting. She was standing on the edge of a precipice, peering down into a chasm filled with uncertainty. The idea of unraveling their friendship terrified her. Yet the weight of her doubts pressed against her chest, a reminder that trust, once broken, was a delicate thing. Jordan's laughter pulled her back as he reached across the table, squeezing her hand. You know I've always got your back, right? The sincerity in his voice should have quelled her doubts, but instead, it ignited them. She wanted to believe him. She desperately wanted to trust. As she looked into his eyes, searching for reassurance, she realized that the mask he wore might not just be his. Beneath her smile, beneath her laughter, lay a growing storm of suspicion, swirling with hope and fear. Could she continue to hide her turmoil behind a facade of normalcy? The question lingered in the air, heavy and unspoken, wrapping around them like the steam rising from their cups. In that moment, Alex felt the fragile balance of trust shifting, the comforting illusion of friendship cracking just enough for doubt to slip through. She fought the urge to pull away, yet the distance between them felt increasingly insurmountable, a rift that threatened to expose everything she feared. Alex sat cross-legged on the floor of their shared apartment, the glow of the laptop screen illuminating her face in a harsh light. Shadows danced across her features, mirroring the turmoil inside. The noise of the bustling city outside faded into a distant hum as her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She had stumbled upon something, an email thread she was never meant to see. The words on the screen were like daggers, each one piercing through the veil of trust she had woven around her friendship with Jordan. The jarring realization crystallized in her mind, and with it came a tide of emotions. Tension coiled tightly in her chest as she scrolled through the exchanges, her heart racing. Doubts that had once flickered at the edges of her mind now roared to life, consuming her. How could she have been so blind? Each line revealed a layer of deceit she never wanted to acknowledge. Jordan's name sprawled across the screen, mingled with laughter and promises. But now they felt tainted, coated in betrayal. As she leaned closer, the cold glow of the screen reflected back at her, and she felt as if she were staring into a mirror. One that showed not just her face, but her shattered perceptions. The image was distorted, the smooth surface cracked under the weight of unbearable truth. Alex fought against a wave of nausea, the realization crashing down like a tidal wave, sweeping away everything she thought she knew. How had she let herself be fooled for so long? The silence of the room pressed in around her, thick and suffocating. The only sound was the faint click of the keyboard and the rapid thrum of her heartbeat. She could feel the sharp edges of her thoughts digging into her consciousness, each one a reminder of the trust she had extended, the vulnerabilities she had laid bare. Why had she believed in the illusion of their friendship, the perfect camaraderie that now felt like a fragile facade? In that moment, doubt transformed into a bitter well of shock. Every playful exchange, every shared secret came flooding back with new significance. Little lies wrapped in layers of camaraderie. The contrast felt unbearable. Through the haze of emotional pain, she could almost hear Maya's voice echoing in her mind, urging her to confront the truth. But how could she? How could she reconcile the person she thought she knew with this stranger crafted of manipulation and deceit? Alex's hands trembled as she closed the laptop, the screen's light fading like the remnants of a dream gone sour. Images of Jordan's smile flashed before her, warm, inviting, but now twisted with betrayal. The mask he wore crumbled in her thoughts, the friendly facade slipping away to reveal the depths of his deceit. What had once felt like safety now felt like a trap. The question hung heavy in the air, unspoken yet deafening. How do you accept a brutal truth that shatters your entire belief system? The remnants of their friendship felt like shards of glass cutting into her, the pain of betrayal turning inward, threatening to swallow her whole. As the cold room wrapped around her, Alex felt the weight of her emotions settle in her gut. A chaotic mix of anger, sadness, and a flicker of determination. She had to reclaim her narrative. The journey ahead would be fraught with uncertainty, but it was a journey she had to embark on alone. The reflection in the mirror, her reflection, was just beginning to emerge from the shadows of betrayal, ready to confront the daunting path toward authenticity and self-awareness. The tiny cafe, nestled between towering glass buildings, was a world of its own, filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the low hum of conversation. Yet, for Alex Morgan, the air felt stifling, thick with unspoken words and simmering tension. Her heart raced as she sat across from Jordan Lee, whose usual bright smile felt like a mask, obscuring truths she could no longer ignore. Why Jordan? The question slipped from her lips, raw and trembling. Why did you lie to me? She could feel the heat of betrayal rising in her chest, twisting like a knife, sharp and insistent. Jordan leaned back, the smile faltering for just a moment. I didn't lie, Alex. You're misunderstanding everything. His voice, usually smooth and reassuring, now held a defensiveness that grated against the warm familiarity she once adored. The glint in his eyes, once a spark of friendship, now felt like a shadow, a facade slipping away. No, she shot back, the bitterness stinging her tongue. I found the messages, the lies, the way you manipulated me. She felt the weight of those words crashing over them, each syllable like a wave eroding the shore of their once solid friendship. You made me doubt everything I believed, everything we built. Jordan's expression hardened, and Alex noticed a flicker of something, anger or fear she couldn't tell. You don't understand the whole story, he said, his tone edged with urgency. I did it for us, for you. For us? She echoed, incredulous. You think lying is doing something for me? You think that's love? The cafe around them dimmed as her voice rose, drawing glances from other patrons. But in that moment, she was beyond caring. Jordan leaned in, desperate, his eyes searching hers. You're being overdramatic, Alex. I was trying to protect you from... Protect me, she interrupted, her voice rising. You've torn me apart. You've made me question everything. Myself, our friendship. All I have left is the choice to walk away. As the words hung in the air, heavy with finality, Alex felt a bittersweet sense of liberation wash over her. She had been stripped bare, yet in that moment, she recognized the strength in her vulnerability. The mask was gone, and with it, the illusion of their friendship. In the depths of her heart, she understood the question would linger: how to discern true motives from the deceptive whispers of the past. But for now, she had found clarity within the chaos. It was time to reclaim her truth and step away from the ruins of their shattered bond. The evening light filtered through the half-drawn curtains, casting a warm, muted glow across the living room. Alex sat on the worn-out couch, her knees drawn to her chest, a fortress of solitude. The room pulsed with unspoken words, a tension thick enough to cut. She could feel the weight of her own heart, heavy with betrayal and regret, echoing in the silence. Maya entered, her presence like a gentle tide that washed over the jagged rocks of Alex's despair. Hey, she said softly, a hint of caution in her voice. Can we talk? Alex nodded, her throat tight. She wanted to scream, to unleash the turmoil that churned within her. But the words tangled in her mind, refusing to break free. The reflection from the mirror, hanging on the opposite wall, caught her eye, a reminder of who she used to be. Trusting, hopeful, unbroken. Now, all she saw was a shattered version of herself, pieces scattered in every direction. Maya settled beside her, the cushion sinking under the weight of their shared history. I know you're hurting, Alex. It's okay to feel lost right now, she said, her voice steady but tender, like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. But you're not alone in this. The words felt like a bomb, yet they barely scratched the surface of the jagged wound inside Alex. How can I move on when everything I thought I knew was a lie? She whispered, her voice trembling. I thought Jordan was my friend. I trusted him. Maya's gaze was unwavering, piercing through the haze of Alex's self-doubt. Trust doesn't disappear overnight, but it can be rebuilt. You need to feel what you feel. Allow yourself to grieve the loss. It's part of the healing. Alex's chest tightened further, the bitterness of betrayal rising like bile. But what if I can't? What if I'm forever broken? The question hung heavy, a stark reminder of the painful reality she faced. Maya reached out, her fingers brushing against Alex's, an anchor in the storm of emotions. You are not broken. You're evolving. This pain, this doubt, it's a pathway to something deeper. Alex turned to the mirror again, staring hard at her reflection. The image remained fragmented, her heart still held hostage by the fear of betrayal. I feel so weak, Maya, like I'm drowning in my own confusion. Sometimes, Maya replied, her voice gentle yet firm. The strongest thing you can do is allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's not weakness, it's authenticity. You're here, you're feeling, and that's a step towards reclaiming your power. As Maya spoke, the tension in Alex's body began to ease, if only slightly. She could almost glimpse the light at the end of the tunnel, a flicker of hope amidst the shadows. But how do I trust again? How do I find my way back to myself? By accepting that trust is a journey, Maya answered, her eyes reflecting a deep well of understanding. It's not just about others. It's about trusting yourself, too. You need to look at the pieces in the mirror and see the strength within them. Their hands intertwined, warmth radiating between them. A bridge built on honesty. Alex felt something shift inside her. The slow unfurling of hope, the lingering bitterness beginning to dissolve. Maya's presence was a steady pulse, urging her forward, illuminating the path to healing. Yet, the question remained unresolved, suspended in the air between them. How do you find solace and begin the healing process after betrayal? Alex didn't have the answer, but for the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of possibility. The mirror might still reflect a fractured self, but perhaps, just perhaps, it was also a canvas waiting for her to reclaim her story. Sam sat at his cluttered desk, the dim light of his laptop stark against the encroaching dusk. The hum of the city outside slipped in through the cracked window, a distant reminder of the world moving on while he delved into the heart of betrayal. His fingers danced across the keyboard, weaving together threads of historical and contemporary narratives of trust and deception. Each click echoed a haunting resonance, amplifying the emotional weight that hung in the air. He paused, his gaze drifting to the cracked mirror hanging askew on the wall, its surface marred with age and distortion. It reflected the fragmented stories of countless individuals, their lives forever altered by betrayal. Wasn't that the essence of trust? A fragile illusion, often shattered, leaving jagged pieces behind. Each story he reviewed felt like a shard, a reminder of the struggle to piece together trust after it had been so ruthlessly dismantled. Sam leaned back, letting the gravity of his inquiry settle over him. The tales began to swirl in his mind. The whistleblower betrayed by colleagues, the intimate partner whose secrets were laid bare, the friend who turned a blind eye to another's pain. Each instance resonated with Alex's story, her struggles mirroring the universal pain of deception. He felt a pang of empathy for her, a vibrant thread of connection igniting his own memories of betrayal and loss. As he continued to type, Sam's thoughts raced. What was the common thread that bound these narratives? The answer danced just outside his grasp. Trust, he realized, was not merely a bond. It was a mirror reflecting our deepest vulnerabilities and desires. The painful fissures left by betrayal revealed the complexity of human connection, a puzzle that often defied simple understanding. It was a dance between hope and fear, vulnerability and protection. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair, the weight of his observations pressing down on him. The external tension of the city surged louder, almost drowning out the inner turmoil swirling within. How could he articulate this delicate balance of trust and betrayal, the intricate dance that defined every relationship? His writing began to take on a life of its own, each word serving as a bridge connecting Alex's pain with a broader human experience. A flicker of insight crossed his mind as he recalled a particularly poignant story of a renowned author who had once been betrayed by their closest confidant. The author had transformed their pain into a masterpiece, reflecting the raw complexity of trust and deception. Sam wondered, could this be Alex's path as well? Would she too find a way to transmute her heartbreak into something potent and transformative? But as he pondered the notion of healing through creativity, a deeper question loomed. Could trust truly be pieced back together after the fabric of friendship had been so ruthlessly frayed? Would Alex's journey lead her to reclaim her voice? Or would the echoes of betrayal keep her from stepping boldly into the light? The mirror's cracked surface seemed to mock him, each fissure a reminder of the myriad ways trust could be shattered. He was left with a singular thought. To heal, one must first confront the painful truths that lay beneath the surface. And perhaps, just perhaps, by understanding the universality of betrayal, Alex could reclaim her narrative and find strength in her vulnerability. As dusk settled outside, Sam's heart raced with the need to document not just the pain of betrayal, but the potential for healing. The city pulsed on, oblivious to the emotional upheaval unfolding in the quiet of his room. He took a deep breath, determined to explore the complexities of trust, not just as an observer, but as a participant in the ongoing dance of human connection. The room was dimly lit, shadows dancing across the walls like the remnants of old memories. Alex stood before the mirror, the steam from the shower clinging to her skin, creating a foggy boundary between the past and the present. The reflection staring back was both familiar and foreign, a mosaic of emotions etched into tired eyes. She had always believed that trust was a solid foundation, but now it felt like quicksand, shifting beneath her feet, ready to swallow her whole. With a deep breath, she placed her hands against the cool surface of the mirror, as if searching for something tangible in the haze. Her heart raced, a symphony of fear and resolve, the remnants of betrayal echoing in her mind. Jordan's smile, once a beacon of friendship, now loomed large, a haunting reminder of the lies that had woven through their bond. She could almost hear his laughter, the way he'd effortlessly spun tales that wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, only for her to discover that the fabric was laced with deception. "Why did I ignore the signs?" she asked her reflection, her voice barely a whisper, tremors of doubt skimming the surface of her thoughts. The mirror, a silent witness, reflected the truth she had been avoiding. Alex leaned in closer, searching her own gaze for an answer. How do I move forward, knowing what I know now? The question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. It felt like a chasm opening beneath her, threatening to drag her back into the darkness of self-doubt and despair. But beneath that weight was a flicker of determination. This was the moment she had to wrestle with. This was her reckoning. As she spoke, her voice grew steadier, nourished by the resolve blossoming within. I won't let his betrayal define me. Each word was a step forward, a brick laid carefully on the path to healing. She remembered Maya's warm embrace, the way her friend had anchored her in the storm of emotions, guiding her back to solid ground. I choose authenticity over illusion, she affirmed, her reflection nodding back at her as if encouraging the declaration. In that moment, the mirror morphed from a simple glass surface into a portal of self-reflection. It became a symbol of her journey, a tool for clarity, allowing her to confront both the pain and the strength that had emerged from the ashes of betrayal. She would no longer be a victim of manipulation. She would reclaim her story. But as the resolve settled in her chest, a shadow of uncertainty flitted across her mind. Could she truly rebuild trust, not just with others, but with herself? The haunting question lingered, refusing to dissipate. It wrapped around her heart, reminding her of the delicate balance between vulnerability and self-protection. With a final breath, Alex reached for the edges of the mirror, the cool glass grounding her in the present. I will learn from this, she whispered. A promise made not only to the reflection, but to the essence of who she was becoming. I will carry the lessons of the past, not as shackles, but as stepping stones. She stepped back, her heart lighter, the weight of betrayal shifting into a new understanding. The fog began to lift, revealing not a perfect view, but a clearer path forward. A cautious hope glimmering in her eyes. The relationship with Maya would be her anchor, a testament to the possibility of genuine connection forged through honesty. And as the question hung there, suspended in the air like the last breath before a plunge, she embraced it. With her heart open, Alex turned away from the mirror, stepping into the world anew, ready to navigate the fragile landscape of trust, determined to forge authentic connections, one cautious step at a time. The cafe buzzed softly, the air thick with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Alex sat at a corner table, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug, the warmth grounding her as she wrestled with a swirl of thoughts. She had chosen this spot for its quiet, but the stillness was deceptive. The tension within her felt palpable, as if the very walls were closing in. Maya arrived, her presence a calming balm. There was a new lightness in her step, a silent assurance that things could still be good. "Hey," she greeted, sliding into the chair across from Alex. "How are you holding up?" Alex forced a smile, though it felt fragile. "I'm trying," she confessed, the weight of the last few weeks settling heavily on her shoulders. The betrayal from Jordan loomed over her like a dark cloud, its shadow obscuring the path ahead. She couldn't shake the feeling of having been fooled, not just by Jordan, but by her own trust. Maya leaned forward, her expression earnest. "You know, it's okay to feel unsure. You're rebuilding, and that takes time." Alex nodded, but the conflicting emotions churned inside her. She wanted to believe in the possibility of connection again, but each thought brought with it the haunting echo of Jordan's deceit. How could she navigate this new terrain without the safety net of blind trust? It felt like stepping out into the unknown, a delicate dance on the edge of vulnerability. Alex hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to make the same mistakes again. I can't." She glanced at her reflection in the cafe's window, where the sunlight caught the edges of her face. A fleeting thought struck her. The mirror didn't lie, but it didn't reveal everything either. It only showed what was on the surface. Maya's gaze didn't waver. "You're not the same person you were before. You've learned, Alex. You're stronger than you think." The word "stronger" hung in the air, mingling with the steam rising from their drinks. As Alex took a deep breath, it felt like a moment of reckoning. She realized that the facade she had worn so long, the mask of unwavering trust, had become a weight she could no longer bear. It was time to embrace the truth of her vulnerability, to forge connections that felt real, not just safe. "Maybe I just need to set some boundaries," she said, the thought crystallizing in her mind. The idea of boundaries had always felt foreign, like a barrier against connection. But now it resonated differently. Boundaries could be a means of protecting the tender parts of her spirit, a way to navigate this new landscape without succumbing to manipulation again. Maya smiled, the warmth in her eyes radiating support. "That sounds like a great start. Just remember, it's about finding a balance." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of doubt begin to lift, if only slightly. "It's just, how do I trust again?" The question lingered, a whisper of uncertainty. As the cafe hummed around them, Alex caught sight of her reflection once more, this time noting the subtle strength in her eyes. Perhaps she could face this journey armed with the lessons learned from betrayal. Perhaps trust could be rebuilt, but on her terms, crafted carefully, with honesty as the foundation. Maya's hand reached across the table, a gesture of solidarity. The connection between them felt genuine, a new thread woven into the fabric of her life. In that moment, the idea of wearing a mask faded, replaced by the desire to show her true self, scars and all. The question remained, how to rebuild trust while holding on to her newfound sense of self. But Alex understood that the journey would not be easy. It would require patience, courage, and above all, authenticity. As they talked, the cafe around them faded into a distant hum, leaving only the promise of what could be. A new beginning, a cautious yet hopeful step towards authentic connection. The bathroom was dimly lit, the soft hum of the overhead light flickering as if unsure of its purpose. Alex stood before the mirror, the steam from the shower clinging to her skin, creating a foggy boundary between the past and the present. The reflection staring back was both familiar and foreign, a mosaic of emotions etched into tired eyes. She had always believed that trust was a solid foundation, but now it felt like quicksand, shifting beneath her feet, ready to swallow her whole. With a deep breath, she placed her hands against the cool surface of the mirror, as if searching for something tangible in the haze. Her heart raced, a symphony of fear and resolve, the remnants of betrayal echoing in her mind. Jordan's smile, once a beacon of friendship, now loomed large, a haunting reminder of the lies that had woven through their bond. She could almost hear his laughter, the way he'd effortlessly spun tales that wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, only for her to discover that the fabric was laced with deception. "Why did I ignore the signs?" she asked her reflection, her voice barely a whisper, tremors of doubt skimming the surface of her thoughts. The mirror, a silent witness, reflected the truth she had been avoiding. Alex leaned in closer, searching her own gaze for an answer. How do I move forward, knowing what I know now? The question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. It felt like a chasm opening beneath her, threatening to drag her back into the darkness of self-doubt and despair. But beneath that weight was a flicker of determination. This was the moment she had to wrestle with. This was her reckoning. As she spoke, her voice grew steadier, nourished by the resolve blossoming within. I won't let his betrayal define me. Each word was a step forward, a brick laid carefully on the path to healing. She remembered Maya's warm embrace, the way her friend had anchored her in the storm of emotions, guiding her back to solid ground. I choose authenticity over illusion, she affirmed, her reflection nodding back at her as if encouraging the declaration. In that moment, the mirror morphed from a simple glass surface into a portal of self-reflection. It became a symbol of her journey, a tool for clarity, allowing her to confront both the pain and the strength that had emerged from the ashes of betrayal. She would no longer be a victim of manipulation. She would reclaim her story. But as the resolve settled in her chest, a shadow of uncertainty flitted across her mind. Could she truly rebuild trust, not just with others, but with herself? The haunting question lingered, refusing to dissipate. It wrapped around her heart, reminding her of the delicate balance between vulnerability and self-protection. With a final breath, Alex reached for the edges of the mirror, the cool glass grounding her in the present. I will learn from this, she whispered. A promise made not only to the reflection, but to the essence of who she was becoming. I will carry the lessons of the past, not as shackles, but as stepping stones. She stepped back, her heart lighter, the weight of betrayal shifting into a new understanding. The fog began to lift, revealing not a perfect view, but a clearer path forward. A cautious hope glimmering in her eyes. The relationship with Maya would be her anchor, a testament to the possibility of genuine connection forged through honesty. And as the question hung there, suspended in the air like the last breath before a plunge, she embraced it. With her heart open, Alex turned away from the mirror, stepping into the world anew, ready to navigate the fragile landscape of trust, determined to forge authentic connections, one cautious step at a time.